Alright, so good day everyone. We will be now discussing the chapter 2 on our consumer behavior. So chapter 2, we will dwell in the consumer as an individual, starting with the motivation, consumer motivation. Okay, so let us define now what is consumer motivation. So people buy for a variety of reasons. Questions that an individual asks him or herself is, how does a customer evaluate his or her requirements before purchasing an item? What drives them to choose one product over the others? Especially now that we have many alternative products, no? Alternative products that will satisfy the same need. These are the core marketing concepts that a firm or any business must understand in order to be a successful, lucrative, and market leader. Again, in marketing, our goal is to be competitive, diba? To have that competitive advantage over our competitors or mga kalaban in the marketplace. By doing that, we must satisfy the needs and wants, of our customers as discussed in the previous chapter. And by knowing these questions na tinatanong ng consumers in themselves, we can now present or deliver a better product over competitors. Okay? So when a customer makes a transaction, exchanging a product in exchange of money, it is usually to meet a need. That's why we must analyze needs and wants. But what's interesting to marketers is that a customer demand aren't always obvious to them, but they represent a huge potential for marketers. In the previous chapter, diba, we need to do a consumer research. Okay? A consumer behavior research or consumer demand research. Kasi these needs and wants, usually, hindi naman binabanggit to ng customers agad-agad to firms. It is up to the firm to know that specific need and specific wants by doing research. Kasi that is the potential. Okay? That is the potential for businesses. So consumer motivation is defined as an internal driving force that motivates people to take an action. And that action should be buying a specific product or service. In terms of marketing, the action would be purchasing a product or using a service that meets the requirements and desires. This motivated conduct is always goal-oriented, focusing on what is required to meet a certain need. Again, a good product must satisfy a need, must be a solution to an economic problem. Diba, as a consumer, if we have a problem or something that we should fulfill, it is missing that with something we should fulfill, ano bang ginagawa natin? We purchase a product that can fill that need. Okay? That is how consumer and businesses meet. Okay? And the motivation of consumers is, I repeat, to fill the need. Okay? Alright. So, what are needs? Let us define what are needs. Every person has a certain need that must be met or satisfied. Social and cultural requirements are secondary to basic needs such as food and clothing. So, these are the basic needs, no, in order to survive, in order to live. Common natin, of course, the air, water, sleep, food, and shelter. The basic human necessities in order to live, in order to survive. These are needs. How about wants? Wants are, since needs are the bare necessities, whereas wants are something more than its addition to the basic of life. Now, this is a modification of the need. The want is a modification of the need that will satisfy the individual. For example, food is a requirement, whereas the type of food we desire is a desire or a want. Okay? The need is food. The want is maybe you want to eat pancit canton or burger or gusto mong mag-dine in sa 5-star na restaurant. Different wants. But the need is the same, which is food. So here I have included some examples here. Diba kanina earlier in the needs, water is a basic need. Want naman is the type of water depende dun sa individual. So we have this, I'm not sure if you have encountered this, no? Maybe sa internet, the most expensive water that you can buy, the 90H2O. Okay? I think this is around $3,000, no, or around 150,000 per bottle. Yet, it is the same water. But there are some people who wants to drink this type of water. That is now the one. Another is ito, you can invest on a five-star hotel. When you travel, ayan, when you travel, you can buy or purchase or purchase a room from a five-star restaurant, or pwede naman sa mga yung mga ang tawag dun, yung nag-accept lang ng bed space for a certain type of period, transient, and I think that's the right term, transient. It caters to the different wants of different people. Okay? Ayan. Ito naman, it's becoming popular in other first world countries, no, yung gold-plated food, no. And of course, if you want to purchase a house, you can either buy a small house or a very luxurious mansion. Again, it depends on the wants. But the need is, dito is shelter. Okay? Alright, so what are goals naman? Goals are the objectives that must be met in order to achieve success, no? Not only in business but also as an individual. The nature of a particular is both generic and product particular. Okay? For example, if you are a consumer, you want to buy clothes, what are your goals? Sa babae siguro, it must be fashionable, it must be fit, depende sa inyong body type, di ba? And of course, dapat depende dun sa style that you are following. That are your goals, di ba, in purchasing a product. On the consumer side, on the producer side, mga businesses side, they must deliver kung ano yung goals ng customers. Okay? So, they must produce the specific product na gusto ng customer based on style, based sa kanyang body figure, dapat fit, based sa trending, what is trending now when it comes to fashion. Diba? If you notice, nagmi-meet yung goals ng consumer at yung offerings ng producer. Alright? That is how you satisfy a need or satisfy a want. Okay, so motivation is based on the satisfaction of needs and the satisfaction of desires. Change occurs as a result of variety of variables, both internal and external in nature. Now, individuals' personal, social, cultural, and economical requirements can sometimes be met, and other times they cannot. Kasi sometimes these factors, it is really hard for a producer to satisfy, depending on the circumstances. Now, for example, ang personal, ayan, we have different, babalik tayo dun sa clothing, di ba? We have different styles, we have different perception when it comes to clothing. Some, gusto nila yung conservative. Some naman is gusto nila yung medyo revealing. Ayan. Kung babalik tayo sa social, ito naman yung the environment of that person. Okay? If that person is lumaki sa isang conservative family or conservative community, usually they prefer yung clothes na balot. Okay? But if that person naman is lumaki sa isang community na very open when it comes to clothing, yung mga ganito, usually ang revealing sa kanya na clothes is mas prefer niya yung mga revealing na clothes. Okay? Also sa cultural, in the Philippines, I think we are much more conservative, di ba? So we really want na ang mga decente, sabi nga nila, the term they are using is decenteng pananamit. But now, di ba, we have a change in the culture where people are more open. So nakikita nyo, the fashion also changes. And of course, yung last natin is economical. Since we are a third world country, okay, we have limited budget, we have limited purchasing power, spending capabilities. Even if we want to buy yung mga branded clothes, di ba, we do not have the capacity to do so. So these are some factors. And I guess, again, for some businesses, they cannot meet these factors. For example, si high brand na mga damit. Let's say, Chanel. Ayan, Chanel. Can they produce a garment na sobrang mura in the Philippines? Most likely not. Kasi if they would do that, number one, syempre the materials will be sacrificed, the quality will be sacrificed, and it will have an impact to their brand name. Kasi this is a high brand, syempre, high brand is equal to high price. So they have to maintain that high price. Okay? Again, depending on the circumstances. Okay. So moving on, we will now discuss the theories of motivation. And I'm sure these concepts are not new to you. Okay, lagi nyo nang naririnig to. Starting with the Maslow's hierarchy of needs or the Maslow's theory of need hierarchy. Okay? Lagi nating naririnig to. So let us explain ano nga ba tong hierarchy of need. In accordance with the concept of a universal hierarchy of human requirements, Dr. Abraham Maslow was a clinical psychologist who developed a theory of human motivation that is widely recognized today. So we are using this concept not only in management, not only entrepreneurship, but all other fields as well. This defines 5 fundamental levels of human need, which are ranked in order to priority from bottom to top. And from lower level to higher level, starting with the most basic needs. Okay? So let us see. Ayan. So from bottom, we have the physiological needs and safety needs. Now these are considered to be the basic needs in order to survive, in order to live. Next naman is we have the belongingness and love. Esteem needs. These are the psychological needs. These are what we really need in order to have a healthy mind or to keep a sound mental health. Ayan. And lastly, which is the hardest to achieve according to Maslow, is the self-actualization. These are now the self-fulfillment needs. Okay? So let us discuss one by one. When you say physiological needs, again, these are the basic needs in order to survive, such as food, clothing, air, shelter. Ayan, basic human requirements. They are referred to as fundamental or core requirements. Okay? Bakit siya core requirements? Kasi nga, again, we need these things in order to survive. Okay? Ayan. That's why if you can see, if you notice, if people hindi masatisfy itong physiological needs, they do not have time or they do not have the capacity to fulfill the other needs yun nasa taas. Okay? Imagine a person na gutom. Okay? Do you think may time siya para maging secure? Do you think may time siya to find love, to find relationships? Do you think may time siya to be accomplished? No, kasi he need to satisfy muna yung kanyang gutom. That's why this level is nasa pinakababa. The basic needs. Okay? That's why hindi mo rin masisisi, no? People can do the worst things if they are hungry. No? Marami silang pwedeng gawing masama if they are hungry. Kasi they need to satisfy this need first. After the physiological needs, we have the safety or security needs. Now, consumers move on to the next level of needs once na-fulfill na yung first level requirement, which is the physiological needs. The requirement for security include yung physical safety, yung you feel safe at all times. Security, if you are in a particular place, dapat you are secure. Stability when it comes to financial, di ba? Financial stability. Security when it comes to employment. Ayan. And protection, especially now, di ba, we are on the pandemic age, pandemic years. We have to be protected at all times. Diba? Having a mask is already a sense of protection, sense of security. And we need that, no, as a basic need. After the basic needs, we now go to the belongingness or love needs. Ayan. Following the satisfaction for safety requirements, consumers seek to feel a sense of connection and attachment with other people, of course. They must retain their social standing and make an effort to be accepted by others. The basic unit that can give us yung belonging or love needs is always the family. It always starts with the family. And once you grow up, syempre, you need to find attachment, no, with other people. So you can either find your love or find it through friends. Ayan. So these are belongingness or love needs. Kayo ba? Siguro nandito na kayo, no, sa mga boyfriend and girlfriend niyo. Alright, so that is belongingness or love needs. How about esteem needs? Okay. Then there are esteem requirements such as self-worth, social standing, and reputation. This is now your achievements as an individual. So individuals at this stage desire to soar above the typical level of performance as compared to others in order to achieve mental fulfillment. Okay? So when it comes to achievements, di ba? A simple achievement need or esteem need that you can fulfill is for you guys is to graduate, di ba? That is a sense of accomplishment. Siguro for some, they are aiming to become cum laudes. Ayan, or magna cum laudes. Or they are experts in their field. Siguro you are a person na sporty. Ayan, mahilig mag-basketball and you have won some championships. Ayan, or some, meron din, it's also a fulfillment of esteem needs. Siguro kayo yung mga gamers. Ayan, di ba? Gamers usually nakikipag-competition sila. If you win, if you become champion, you are already fulfilling your esteem needs. Okay? Yan. A fulfillment. A mental fulfillment. And after you satisfy the esteem needs, ito na yung the highest, diba, level of need. This is now the self-actualization. This is the most senior position in the hierarchy. People in this community strive to be the best in their fields and raise their overall level of performance. They are referred to as self-actualizer. You are already the peak. You are already satisfied. Diba? Some say this is the point where you do not ask for more things. You are satisfied on what you have, on your accomplishment. Diba? To the point that you are already helping others. Ayan. You are satisfied on what you have that you start already to help others. This is already self-actualization. Self-actualizers. Okay? So, we have another theory here, motivational theory and its relationship to marketing strategy. Yeah. So, let's try to apply in a business sense. Marketers must understand the motivations of their potential customers in order to generate profitable sales. So, by identifying their level of need in the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you can now produce or offer a product suitable for their need. A buyer has a variety of motivations, each of which changes depending on the situation. Fortunately, in such situations, marketers may easily assist their customers by altering their marketing plan in order to address the dispute at hand. Okay? Bakit siya depend on the situation? I'll give you an example. The year 2020, when the pandemic started, every business model in every business changes. They now prioritizes the safety of their consumers. Kasi that is the need during that time, di ba? The need to be safe at all times during the pandemic. That's why all businesses, they now have these COVID plans, COVID safe products, di ba? To satisfy the need of the customers to become safe. Okay? Ayan. Kasi the motivation, I will repeat, the motivation of the consumer is to not get yung COVID virus. Alright? So, the following are the most significant conflicts that could develop. Okay. Ayan. Dito tayo sa approach conflict. It is possible to encounter this conflict when a consumer is presented with two alternative products or options for the same time, for the same items or service. Despite the fact that he values them equally, he is unable to prioritize one over the other. Siguro you have encountered this, no? You are trying to buy a product that will satisfy the same need but different brands. Okay? Approach conflict is, as a consumer, alin ba ang pipiliin ko? So example if you are buying a phone, are you going to buy an Android or are you going to buy an Apple? Ayan. Basically, they offer the same. Diba? The same services, the same features. They have only different OS, but if you notice, you can text, you can search the web, you can call, you can even download the same applications. Diba? Pero, the conflict now is, which one should I buy? Okay? Another naman is we have the approach avoidance conflict. This is something na businesses should try to avoid. This form of conflict occurs when a consumer chooses in favor of a product but is dissatisfied with a specific element of the product and wishes to avoid it. Kasi it would now impact yung kanyang repurchase in the future. For example, going back dito sa example natin na Android versus Apple. Okay? Let's say that I chose to buy Apple. Okay? But Apple nowadays, yung kanilang product is walang headphone jack. Okay? Very exclusive yung kanilang mga applications. It is very expensive. At ngayon, no charger included. Yun ang mga Apple phones ngayon, no charger included. Now, with these elements, I am now dissatisfied with Apple. Sana yung Android na lang pala ang binili ko. Okay, that is now the approach avoidance conflict. Diba? Nagsisisi. Sana yung Android na lang pala binili ko. So in the future, I will now be avoiding Apple products because I was dissatisfied with a specific product. This is now the approach avoidance conflict. So, as the producer, dapat we must avoid na mangyari to sa customers. Diba? We must always keep them satisfied. We must always keep them happy. Okay? The inner drive that reflects goal-directed arousal is defined as a motivation. In the context of consumer behavior, this results as in a desire for a certain product, service, or experience. Now, when you buy and utilize items and services, you are driving yourself to satisfy your physiological and psychological needs and wants. Diba? In our MASLOW'S hierarchy of needs, dapat masatisfy lahat yun. This is now called as consumerism. Okay? Consumerism. Or, lagi nating naririnig, the customer is always right. That's why as a business, we must always satisfy their needs and their wants. Ayan. So, the 5 stages of motivation process. Ayan. First is the latent need. What do you mean by a latent need? This is a need na hindi natin alam na need natin. Pero it's a need. Okay? We have the drive. Ayan. Drive is, we have now the motivation to buy the product. The want or desire. Ayan. The motivation intensifies. We have now the goal to buy a product, and the behavior is to purchase or not to purchase a product. So it always starts with the latent need. Okay? Example. Ngayon, in the Philippines, very uso po ang magpaputi. Ayan. So, nauso yung glutathione, yung mga likas papaya. Okay? Pero years ago, decades ago, that is not really a need. Diba? That is not really a need. Lumabas lang siya when companies try to advertise these glutathione products. Meron pala yung need ng mga Pilipino na magpaputi. Yan yung latent need. A need na hindi natin alam na need pala. Ayan, through extensive marketing ng mga companies, papakita sila ng mga mapuputi, yan, maganda daw yung tignan pag maputi. We are now having the drive, no? The drive to purchase the product. Parang gusto kong bilhin yan. Ayan. Then, we see na ating mga kasamahan, yung mga ating friends is they have tried the product at wow, pumuti nga sila. We now have the desire, the want or the desire to purchase the product. Okay? Then, ayan, nagtanong-tanong ka sa friends mo, ano yung gamit mo? Effective ba yan? Okay? Tas yung mga friends mo naman is nag-suggest, okay, try mo to 1 week, etc., etc. Then you really want to buy that product. Now you have the goal. I want to buy that product. I have the budget now to buy that product. And once you have purchased the product, that is now the behavior. Behavior is the act of purchasing the product. Ayan. Okay? And I'm sure as a student, no, na nandito na rin kayo sa 5 stages of motivation process na to. You have experienced that. Maybe through enrolling a course or choosing a course or buying a phones or buying a laptop, especially during the pandemic na online classes. Meron napagdaanan nyo tong 5 stages of motivation. What is your motivation in buying a gadget? Of course, to survive yung online learning. And that's it. That is our part 1 of our chapter 2. Okay, so thank you for viewing this video and I will see you on the next chapter. Goodbye.